this program is made to deprogram you to what you've been programmed
that
to,
is
right?
Exactly what we're about. You have to remember
Right.
that. Look, whether we get 1 million views or we get 1, it is still Be More. Believe me, for real. I refuse to have a generation behind me not doing better than me.
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
I can't sleep at night knowing the next generation is going to do worse than I. That doesn't make sense.
Be more for
you
real.
know, DMV and Be More.
Put the number 4 up. Show
When
them
we
the number
live
4.
here,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, we separate. But when you move outside of Maryland, we all the same.
We all the same.
We all the same.
Canada
When you
is,
move outside.
But you gotta play your role.
Canada is Be More for real. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all.
That's when the crowd is it never was one.
We appreciate
Welcome to BMore4Real podcast. Get ready for the realest conversations anywhere on the net.
Keep it locked with us.
We planting seeds in the streets where the hearts is cold, where the young ones bleed, where the truth ain't told, where the pain run deep and the dreams get stole. We bring light to the block, the righteous seed will grow. From boys to kings, from girls to queens. No more suffering in our sleep, it's just a righteous dream. We speak light in the mist where the darkness unfold, healing our youth. Hoping y'all could save their soul. The YNs, they walking around with a pole in their book bag. Heart so cold, they end up with a toe tag. No pops, just a Glock and the pain in their jeans. Mama be working double, missing all of their dreams. So the block, they raise them up in a predator way, where the love is getting taxed and the trust don't pay. The OGs, they put some trauma like it's part of the code. Now they sleep with a pole, feeling safe on the road.
Y'all hear me? Put them ones in the chat. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Put them ones in the chat. If you can hear me, put them ones in the chat. If you can't, put the 2 in the chat. All right, I think I got it. I can hear it. I can hear it. I can hear it. Be more for real. Little technical difficulties, but we back. We here. We are here. We back. We here, man. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. We got a lot of people. We say audio went out. Audio went out. No sound. No sound. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all. One, so y'all can hear me loud and clear, right? Hey. Be more for real, man. We in here, man. I'm gonna get right into it. You know, this is the Be More for Real moment. And every moment is crucial, you know, every moment is crucial. I had the pleasure of working with a lot of kids, a lot of youth. I had the pleasure of working with the Be More for Real, not Be More for Real, but Be More Pod, the sports channel, the sports show. Be More Sports Show is lit, man. They got the young players, the young athletes from all over the city, from all over the state, some from out of state. Man, I'm telling you, Be More Pod is the business. So with that being said, though, I'm going to just go ahead and with that being said, y'all already know what time it is. I got to go ahead and just run down just a little bit of highlights, Let's see what we got. Hold on, give me 1 second. All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and run that. So I'm pretty sure y'all can hear me. Let's go ahead and run that clip for the sports show. Let's go ahead and do it.
I'm gonna kill these mofos for real. Give me a chance. It was more of a comment, like they don't date because of passport.
But anyway, I gave y'all props. That's it. I'm done with y'all. That's it.
Oh, keep it coming, keep it coming. It's not the end. It's not the end. V's a legend. Like.
That's super.
So, I mean, sometimes stuff like that does cause a distraction. So, he like had him off his game. Like he knew something was coming out. Like pipeline, when he was kicking that ball, something else was going through his head. 16 therapists. 16 therapists. You know, accusations. You know, from 2012 to 2016. God. Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, you know, the timing of it, but just for 16. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously,
I was like, who does that? Who does that? Who does that?
So, right, like people think you just go in there and boom, one cut, and you know it takes time and effort.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to really invest into it. And
right.
You got to really like.
Tune in to Be More Sports Talk Live every Monday at 7 p.m. exclusively on the Be More Pod Network.
I'm gonna kill these mofos for real. Give me a chance.
Man, we're gonna go ahead and clap that up. If y'all didn't watch the Monday night show, the Monday night sports show, y'all need to watch it, man. It was really, really inspirational. It was inspirational to see the young kids, to see the youth, and everything do their thing, man. It was so powerful. Shout out to Eric, shout out to Be More Pod, shout out to everything that y'all doing over there. On the sports show segment, man. It's awesome. It's dope. Y'all stay tuned with us. We got Miss Cynthia coming right up, man. We're going to talk about this case. It's very important. We need all the people to like, share, comment, subscribe. We need the village, man. We need the village to come out in full force for this one. Also, we appreciate all of our streamers and our viewers and everything else like that. I'm your co-host, OMG Danny. Of course, if this is your first time meeting us, please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that like button and like the stream. Now, I wouldn't be right if I didn't do this, man. My mom, her name actually happened to be Cynthia as well. Her birthday is today. She passed in 2022. But, you know, shout out to my mom, the queen of my life, man, the woman that loved me unconditionally, and I will continue to love her unconditionally forever. So shout out to my moms. She would have been 70 today She would have been 70 today. She passed when she was 66. But y'all know, look, it's a tough time to deal with, but we still gonna grow. I feel like if there's anything I would say to the people, man, that lost their parents or lost your way, if there's anything I could say is don't lose faith. I would say use your life as a light to show that you was raised right. You know what I'm saying? Don't throw your life away because they lost theirs. I would say to use your life and use your light as a beacon and to speak up for your people in a way that you live, in the way that you live. And we're gonna go ahead and clap that up as well. All right, so without further ado as well, we're not gonna run through a whole bunch of video clips and all that stuff. We're not gonna do that to y'all today. But I'm gonna go ahead and share one more. This is gonna be the children's youth video. And I thought we had that. Do we have the children youth video? Okay, so no, we don't. I don't know what happened to that. I'm gonna go ahead and play tomorrow night. Y'all already know BMore Pod, they on. We're gonna go ahead and run that clip.
His video etiquette is amazing. Like even at 5, he already knew like, yeah, I want this like that. Move that right there. That's a gift.
You got a video for Gwen Hilton. Y'all go ahead and run that video while I pop these bottles. Pop the bottle, baby.
But you get up on the table.
I want you to get up on that table. That's
and you stop.
First of all, it was the facial expressions I was making. I was looking at everybody else. Not too many people could sing like that.
Entertainment report.
Entertainment report.
They ready. They ready.
We do this so we can show other people's talent, and the talent that's inside them is what they love is inside of you, man. They give they point out their passion, they love outside of themselves, man. And 9 times out of 10, if a person is going for trying to reach a goal, there's something inside of them, you got to have help.
That's my friend. Like, we here. Like, we here.
BMore Pod, your liveliest destination. Come and join Dennis, Lene, and Joey every Thursday at 7 p.m. Your talent will make room for you.
All right, we are back. We had several comments, man. Send the icon. He said, "Rest in peace to her." Yes, rest in power to the queen. And D Little, he said, shout out on Fuzz, man. We miss you down here for real. That was my mother's nickname, by the way, on Fuzzy, whatever. You know, if you know, you know what I'm saying. Shout out to my mom, near and dear to my heart. July 2nd, today her birthday. You already know what's up. We turning up for you, queen. Yes, ma'am. But without further ado, we do have something serious to talk about as well right now. Coming to you live in living color is Mrs. Cynthia Freeman. I want you to just introduce yourself and give the audience just a little brief background about you, and then I'll read something about you as well.
Okay.
Introduce yourself to the people and speak into the mic if you may.
My name is Cynthia Freeman. I live in Anne Arundel County, Maryland. I'm here because my niece was taken from us. My background is law enforcement, 30 years in law enforcement. And I spend time in Maryland and in Florida.
Do you spend time in Maryland and in Florida?
Yes.
Okay. First and foremost, how was your day? I know you've been traveling a lot, and it was tough to the program with you, because I think you're going back out the country real soon, right?
Back out of state,
Okay.
Yes.
Back out of state, right. Yep. And just to have you here, though, is a blessing. It's a blessing that you reached out to us to get this show on the road. But what I want to do is I want to read something real fast. Let me go ahead and pull this up. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go ahead and pull this up. I believe I saved it under your bio. And I appreciate you for being here as well. I really do. It's an honor to have you guys here, and we're going to go ahead and do this. Let's let you know about Mrs. Cynthia Freeman for a brief second. And I'm gonna read. I don't know if you guys want me to read the whole thing or not. It's just brief. Let's do it. Mrs. Cynthia Freeman. Okay, so hold on. This is I brought up the wrong bio. I'm gonna bring up the bio for the guest. She also has a guest coming as well. I can't find your bio. It was in the email. I could not find your bio to save my life, and I saved it. That's the problem with having too many emails. So tell them a little bit more about yourself while I find this email.
Like I said, I spent 30 years in law enforcement.
Yes, ma'am.
Made history in law enforcement as far as being the first African-American female promoted to sergeant, lieutenant, and captain in my department. The first female on the SWAT team. I'm a family-oriented person. I enjoyed my career.
What year did you start?
I don't really talk about myself.
You really don't?
1987.
1987.
I did 30 years.
Wow. Okay, so I guess that's basically most of the things in the bio. We just gonna skip past it. I cannot find it to save my life. But Mr. Cynthia Freeman, we appreciate you and your family. Now, the young child in question, that is your niece, correct?
My great niece, yes.
Your great niece. Okay. So we want to give you a foundational understanding of what's going on here. So her great niece was taken by the state of Pennsylvania, And so we're reaching out to the public, and we're reaching out to our family and friends, and we're asking for help on litigating this process because it's been a tumultuous 3 years for this family. You want to start and giving us a little background on how that happened?
Yes, in October 2022, my niece was with her maternal grandmother with her maternal grandmother because her mom was working. And she was taken, and should have been for safety because of drug use. So when she was taken on October 27th, in the wee hours of the morning, there was a hearing the very next day where her mother was contacted and went to the court, as she was supposed to, for the emergency hearing so that she could give them the information on the child and who the relatives were. The very next day, October 28th, there was another hearing where the family members were there. The maternal family members were there. Grandfather, grandmother, cousins from Delaware, great-great-aunt from Delaware, uncles were all there. So it was always family there from the very beginning. So going through the process, the paternal family didn't know because the father was incarcerated. Unfortunately, mom and dad made bad decisions.
Okay.
Very bad decisions, and that happens in families.
So let's just get this straight. So from the beginning, this was in 2022 October, right?
Yes.
October 2022, and you mind if we say her name or?
I don't know if we legally can because she was actually adopted.
Okay, she was actually adopted. Okay, so yes, I want to definitely stay in legal parameters. But your niece, your great niece, she was taken. There was some drug situation with the mom, and the father was incarcerated at this time. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So anyway, family was there, and going through the process, family wasn't told what they could do to help get her back. Unfortunately, the mom passed away in the process. Family was allowed to visit her on a weekly basis until her mom passed away. But, it just didn't work out for us.
Yes, ma'am.
We went to court every 3 months, dependency hearing. We went to court every 3 months for the child placement. So family members were given information finally when they asked to go through the ICPC process to be vetted and approved. And that's a background check,
right?
Home visit checks and all. So three family members were actually approved, 2 in the state of Delaware and 1 in Maryland.
Okay.
And it's on the holding agency to reach out to the other states to do the interstate exchange, which the state of Pennsylvania never did.
So simplify that in layman's terms so that the people can understand what you're saying. You're saying that they withheld the child. What does that mean?
The holding state, the state of Pennsylvania that had her in custody. Once family members are approved through their state, they can actually contact those states to do an interstate exchange so that the child can come back home to family.
Okay.
But the state of Pennsylvania never did that.
Okay.
So while the family members had been approved, they were able to actually have overnight visits. but the state of Pennsylvania would never allow them to do that.
Right.
The child, when she saw her family, she was happy to see her family from Delaware, her cousins, especially her father. You know, when he was released from incarceration, he saw her on a weekly basis, made phone calls, video chats with her, and she was excited to see him. She really didn't act like herself when the foster family was around. It was like she wasn't supposed to be happy. But she had a great time with her family. The last 2 visits that her family was allowed to have with her, she told her great-great-aunt, who she referred to as Mum, that she was ready to come back home and live with her. But she was adopted. I mean, it's a lot. You know, while she was in the process, the paternal grandfather wanted to get her. And he had to go through the process. He lived close to Pennsylvania. And he was told in the beginning that he was going to be able to get her back.
Okay.
And the agency told him that he could have her back by November, by Thanksgiving, then by December, Christmas time. And then they finally told him that because something that was in his background over 25 years prior, that he couldn't have her.
Correct.
Meanwhile, Edith, who's also on the show right now, said that she wanted her. And the agency told her no, that they were going to give her to her grandfather. And when that didn't happen, the agency never told her what she could do to going through the process to get the child back. Now, keep in mind that the child actually lived in Delaware with her family for the first 4.5 years of her life.
Oh, wow. Okay. And so Edith, who's actually with us, and let's go ahead and bring Miss Edith up. Let's make sure they can see your face as well, Edith. I'm going to go ahead and add you to the stream, and we're going to make sure that people can see you as well. And let's see. Let me. Is your mic on? Let's see. I think we can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Edith. Thank you for joining the stream as well. We appreciate your time, taking the time out of your day to join the stream. We appreciate both of you guys for actually fighting for it. And so now we have 2 different sides of the family, right? We have both sides of the family fighting for this one child, right? And Miss Edith is the one on the mom side.
Yes.
The mom side, and she's trying to recover the child, and then you're on the dad side, and you're trying to recover the child, and you guys are finding similar things that's going on wrong with the state, correct?
Yes.
All right, Miss Edith, if you could let us hear your side of the story for a brief second.
When I found out what happened with the child, I called to let them know I wanted her. They told me no, that they were giving her to the maternal grandfather. Well, that fell through. And like Miss Cynthia said, at no time did they ever call me and tell me, Miss Robinette, you made it known that you want the child. Things with the grandfather didn't work out. This is what you're going to have to do to get her. That never happened.
Okay, and if you don't mind me asking, what kind of things did they ask for you guys to have done in order to get her? What procedures and measures and steps have you taken, and how were you treated after taking those measures and steps?
We had to be fingerprinted. We had to go to parenting classes, me and my aunt, which took several weeks. And actually, the process was a little bit drawn out for me because at the time I was going through this, my mom was actively passing. So,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
So it's like a double hit for me.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm definitely sorry to hear that as well. So let's go ahead and let's dive into it. So what are the main things that you guys are asking from the public right now? And I'm gonna start with you, Mrs. Freeman. Let's start with you.
Well, mainly, I wanted to come on this podcast because awareness. We have to give awareness, because if you've never gone through this before, you have no idea what happens in the process with CPS.
Correct.
And like I said, after 30 years in law enforcement, of course I had to make contact with CPS, had to have children removed from the home. But what I was used to with Anne Arundel County, dealing with CPS in Anne Arundel County, the last thing they wanted to do was put the child with a stranger. They would work with us to find a kin, a relative, that was safe, that was vetted, to take the child to. Because the last thing they wanted was to put the child in the system.
Correct.
I also fostered years ago a family member of mine.
Okay.
And so when Anne Arundel County say that they actually actively look for family members, they actually sought family members out and came to me to bring the 3-year-old to me to ask, if I would keep her. And of course I did. So going through the process with the state of Pennsylvania, I didn't understand why it was taking so long for us to get the child back, or why we had to go through so many procedurals. The child had actually been in a total of 4 foster homes. And the whole time there was family there that wanted to take her. So they shifted her from place to place. And once the 3 family members were going through the process and were approved, they actually placed her with the adoptive family for adoption.
My question is that legal? And I know you're not an attorney. You're a former law enforcement officer. How legal is that?
CPS answers to no one is what we found out.
Okay.
Answer to no one. There's some literature I have that I looked up because while we were going through it, I just kept thinking something isn't right here. So it prompted me to go into the system and look up CPS corruption in Pennsylvania, that particular county.
Okay.
And I found a whole litany of things. And one of the things I came across was a report that was from a Nancy Schaefer. In 2007, she wrote this report. She was a senator in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
And how she got involved in this was she had a grandmother come to her sometime in 2007 to explain to her what was going on with her grandchildren, her granddaughters, that they were taken by CPS because they were taken away from the mother, and the mother was told that she had to sign them over.
I think we have that article.
Yes.
I think we may have that article. Let's go ahead and search that up. That article should be here. Let's go here. And you said Nancy Schaefer, right?
Nancy Schaefer.
And her article was written for the state of Georgia, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull up Mrs. Nancy's article. Let's go here. And give us 1 second while we pull this up, because we want y'all to see this stuff. What we're actually going to do is we're going to give you guys information on how the system works. We're going to give you guys laws. We're here to educate the people. We're not just here to ask you for stuff. We're here to actually educate you and be informative. So give us 1 second while we figure that out. And matter of fact, while we go ahead and pull it up, I'm just going to go ahead and go to another. It's another brief promo. So let's go ahead with this.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Out there.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
Well, let's say names and get sued. Let's tell people names and get sued. Let's tell everybody. Let's just tell the whole damn truth.
I'm saying to the sisters and the brothers, because we're not going to be biased, because the same way these men out here cheating, honey, these women out here praying, P-R-E-Y, period. You're not going to argue with me about it.
When they should be doing this praying.
Right.
He owed me his loyalty.
That part.
Hi, I'm Sherelle, known as Misty Blues.
Hi, I'm Glenise, known as Lady Angelic.
Hi, I'm Felicia, also known as the Visionary.
I'm Monica, known as Moni Love.
I'm Leah, better known as Songbird.
And we're Shameless Unsub.
You know, Monica, to address what you said, what you did to get them, you have to do to keep them.
That's exactly right.
On both ends, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. That's what I was saying.
I know where you going. I would love to see it.
You know what? I love what Erica said up there. She said, tie him to the bedpost. My girl, that's my type of thinking.
We're going to start reading Erica stuff. We all know Erica.
And so let the church say amen.
Amen. What's the highest praise? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right.
Hallelujah.
I was.
Shameless Unplugged. Another BMore Pod production. Coming to you live. Every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Exclusively on the BMore Pod Network.
I don't know if they're ready for this one.
That's a heavy one.
All right, and we back. All right, and we back. And we are back, and we are live. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and share an article with you guys, and let us know if you guys can see it. Put a 1 in the chat if you can see the article. If you can't see the article, put a 2 in the chat. But let's go ahead and highlight this article. You guys should be able to see it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Mrs. Cynthia Freeman. If you can see that, I'm gonna get you to read that. We're just gonna go through a couple things.
Okay, so this report is a full transcript from Senator Nancy Schaefer. And what she says in it basically is she says, I wrote a scathing report last year, and that was in 2007, on the corruption of Child Protective Services, and an update and copies are out. Well, she was at an interview.
Okay.
So go up.
She was at an interview?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
No, go up.
You want me to go up more?
I'm going to read this part. I'm going to read what I have here in my lap. What she says in this report, the one that I have, she says, my introduction to Child Protective Services cases were due to a grandmother in an adjoining state, which I talked about, where her granddaughters were taken.
Okay.
She said the children were taken to another county and placed in foster care. The foster parents were told wrongly that they could adopt children.
Okay.
When I spoke with someone I know that retired from Child Protective Services, she explained to me how some of the social workers promised the foster parents that they're able to adopt. So the grandmother started jumping through hoops trying to get the children back. When the case finally came into court, it was made evident by one of the foster parents' children that the foster parent had at any given time 18 foster children. So it's all about the money. In the courtroom, the juvenile judge acted as though she was shocked. I'm just going to skip around a little bit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go to her conclusion. She says, I've concluded that the poor parents very often are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the well-worth to hire lawyers and fight the system. Being poor does not mean you are not good parents and that you do not love your children. That all parents are capable of making mistakes, and making mistakes does not mean your child should be removed from the home. The parenting classes and anger management classes, counseling, referrals, therapy classes, and others are demanded of parents with no compensation by the system, which they make you go jump through all these hoops.
Correct.
The caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence, they fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. However, when the charges are made against Child Protective Services, the charges are ignored.
Okay.
Which is true because I filed a complaint against the agency.
Okay. So the charges are being ignored?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. She said that the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as a business because local government have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars balance their ever-expanding budgets.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, she wrote a lot there.
Yeah, she did write like a lot, and shout out to her. We're gonna go ahead and clap it up for her as well. And so what we're gonna do is we're going to show the people that they are incentivized to take these children. So we're going to not only bring you the issue, but we're going to show you the root of the issue. I believe that if you want to root something out, you have to get it by the root, as a gardener does. If you want to get weeds, you get the weed by the root and you pull it out, right? So this is what we're asking the community to do, is pull the weeds out by the root and not just cut them down so they can regrow again. We actually are going to share a screen. Let's go ahead and pull this screen up. And what we're going to do is highlight this screen. And this is the law that helps them be incentivized. And as you can see, we have the full documents here. So this is the public law. These are acts that they actually allow within the United States government. This is public law, and this is as of 1997. This was the Clintons, right? With this bill, right? Bill. Yeah. This was the Clinton administration with this bill. And now what's happening here is that basically, as you read these sections, you're going to find out the different incentives that the state has and that the state workers have, in this case, the child care workers, the foster care workers, you're going to find out the incentives that they're incentivized to have behind this. So all of this stuff stems behind money, right? And it's not necessarily about the child. And that's what we're bringing to the public's attention, that this is about money and being incentivized, and it's not about the child. And that's what Mrs. Nancy Schaefer was writing about as well, correct?
Yes, yes. And so, as you can see, the law is extremely long and it can be confusing.
Correct.
But the main goal of that law, the 1997 bill, was to speed up the termination of parental rights for whatever reason. If a child is in the custody of foster care 15 out of 22 months, they start the process of terminating the parental rights.
Correct.
Okay. The other incentive is that the federal government takes steps to, the federal government was told to take steps to double the amount of children being adopted out of foster care. And so those incentives are sensitized,
So they're incentivized to double
yes,
the amount of children.
Yes, and it's based off of money.
Okay.
Okay. In a report I read that was written by a law professor in Philadelphia in 2022, she said after the bill was signed in 1997, the federal government handed the states $424 million to the foster care system.
$424 million. And what year was this?
It was a few years after the 1997 bill, after
So
the bill was passed.
Early 2000s, late 90s.
For children to be adopted. So as far as my niece being taken, it wasn't done out of love. It was done out of the incentives.
And it definitely wasn't done out of care, because if they cared, they would have released the child back to the family. Correct,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So that right in and of itself is the reason that we are asking the public to come forward with this, because we have to fight, unfortunately, for our children to get them back from the government. Now, this child, let's see, do you know anything about the foster home that she's in? How many other kids are there in there?
Well, she's not in a foster home anymore. She's actually
now.
Adopted. She was actually adopted about 2 months ago.
2 months ago?
2 months ago. We were going through this for almost 3 years, and she was actually adopted almost 2 months ago. Edith was trying to adopt her. And then she found out that in the state of Delaware, that she was only able to foster her, that she had to go through a different process to adopt her. The Pennsylvania agency never told her that.
So it was a different process for adoption than it was for fostering the child, even if it's your loved one.
Even if it's your loved one.
Okay, Miss Edith, if you could turn, let's hear your experience with this whole adoption process and how they treated you through this whole ordeal.
It's been horrendous. It really has. I was approved to have the child. And I was told we will never allow her to leave the state of Pennsylvania. This child had an attorney.
Can you say you was told that she wasn't, or she was able to leave the state of Pennsylvania?
She would never be allowed to leave the state of Pennsylvania. And I even asked her, I said, well, I'm willing to leave my the home that my mother gave me and relocate to Pennsylvania to get this child back. The child's attorney asked me, and Miss Cynthia was right there. He said, what if you die? I said, excuse me. He said, what if you die? Who's going to take care of the child?
Yeah, his words to the family, because that was the one and only time that we actually talked to the guardian ad litem, that he ever spoke to the family at all. And that's what he said to her. So my response, before she could answer, I said, well, what if the foster parents, I said their names, what if they died in a car accident?
Right.
Who's going to take care of their children?
Right.
He wouldn't answer. I asked him quite a few questions that day. And the only reason why he had a conversation with us that day is because Miss Pinky, the great-great-aunt, who was also approved, asked if she could speak with him.
So let me get this straight. How many of you guys were approved? You were approved.
No, I wasn't approved. A cousin from Maryland was approved.
Edith was approved.
And Edith and Miss Pinky from Delaware were approved.
So that's 3 different individuals that were approved.
That were approved to take the child.
But the child was never taken back home.
No. Like Edith said, the supervisor told her that she had no intentions on letting the child ever leave the state of Pennsylvania. And once they were approved, like I said before, should have been able to get overnight visits, but the agency would never allow that.
And then they went on to later adopt the child off.
Yes.
And so how much harder is it for you to even contact the child now that she's been legally adopted?
We cannot.
So now all communication has been severed with the child. Oh yeah, let's bring this baby home. Let's bring this baby home. Y'all know what to do, man. Let's bring this baby home. Because see now this is what gets under my skin because of the incentive. Because of them being incentivized in the first place, now we have misplaced children growing up in the system, growing up in homes where they should not be. When there's no need to be fostered, now they're saying, okay, this is what we're going to do. So at what point is this about money, and at what point is this about the child?
It's all about the money.
It's all about the money.
All about the money.
It's all about the money. So sad. I know we have a couple other things to pull up. So what other avenues have you taken to get your loved one back?
Well, before she was adopted, when I realized that something just wasn't right, I filed a complaint with the Department of Human Services in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Okay, and that's the agency that oversees CPS. About a week and a half later, when I spoke with the investigator and I explained to her what happened, and she got my email, got the letter, she had concerns. It seemed like she had concerns when I said in the letter that the supervisor said she had no intention on letting the child ever leave the state of Pennsylvania, that the foster mother oversaw the visits, and she made notes, and that it was a report given to the courts. The judge did not see that was biased. He said it wasn't biased. She said she was going to investigate and get back with me. About a week and a half later, she gets back with me. She calls me and said, her findings were that the agency did not do anything wrong.
Right.
And that the agency did not have to give the child back to kin. And I said, well, that doesn't make sense. The foster mother should have never oversaw the visits. The report was based on what the foster mother said, and no one ever asked the family their side of it. So that was the report that was given to the judge based on what the foster mother said on the visits. And she made false accusations against the family members.
And let me ask you this: you having 30 plus years in law enforcement, how do you think this was supposed to be handled? Because they're saying hearsay, they're hearing hearsay from one side. What do you think is the avenue they should have taken instead?
Well, based on their benchmark, kin should have been the child should have been given to kin.
To the next available kin, right?
Kin, to blood kin, based on their book. I pulled out some insertions from their benchmark, Pennsylvania benchmark.
And you got a whole lot of paperwork over here, so I want you to do your thing.
This was written in 2019 by Pennsylvania judges for Pennsylvania judges. And so I just highlighted a few things. One of the things it says in here from their report, their benchmark that they're supposed to follow, it says, family finding is much more than a placement. Family finding connects a child or youth to their heritage and loving support family. Okay? They didn't do that.
Okay.
Okay. It says family finding identifies relative and kin, including those estranged, and who the child doesn't know, as long as they're kin, so that the child can stay in the family. Well, you had three people: my cousin Erica, Edith, and Miss Pinky. The child was never going to be given to the family, and we saw that. The family was never going to get the opportunity to adopt. When Edith mentioned that she wanted to adopt her, the judge says to the family, I will entertain it.
Those are the words?
Those were his judge. Yes, I will entertain it. There was another time at a hearing, the judge says to the family, if you love her, you would let her go.
What?
Yes.
Another judge said that?
That was the presiding judge over the case. That was another time we were in court. If you love her, you will let her go.
Wow.
The one and only time that the guardian ad litem spoke with us, as Edith was saying, it was prompted by Miss Pinky, who asked if he could speak to us. And she was having a conversation with him, and each one of us chimed in. So I chimed in and I asked him a few questions. I said to him, you are the representative for the child, correct? He said, yes. I said, and you are supposed to make decisions that are in the best interest of the child. He said, yes. I said, so do you know anything about Edith, Miss Pinky, or Erica? Have you ever reached out to these three ladies to have a conversation with them? Do you know anything about their background at all? No answer. So I went a step further. I said, did you ever reach out to Anne Arundel County or Sussex County, Delaware, and ask the social workers that approved them, hey, what do you think about these ladies? What about their homes? Tell me about the interview. How comfortable do you feel to them? How do they seem to you? I said, did you think about doing that at all? No answer. He couldn't answer it. And so the last thing I said to him, I said, I know my nephew took his time going through the system, because he did. He gave up. He just felt like the system had already made up their mind.
Okay.
And I was angry with him. We were all angry with him, and rightfully so. But I was reminded by my pastor, you know, the things that black men go through. So I said to him, I said, my nephew did not go through the process as quickly as he should have. He said, no, he didn't. I said, no, he did not. I said, but you know that he did not do absolutely, positively anything wrong at all to have his parental rights taken away. He said, I agree. And then he turns to Edith and tells her, the problem is you don't live in Pennsylvania. What difference did that make?
Right.
It was because the money that the federal government was given was going to go to that county and that state.
Okay, so now we get into the bottom, we get into the root of this stuff. And now you see how being incentivized for such acts creates a disadvantage for the children. And now see, the thing that worries me is that this is not the only family that's been impacted by these things. And I think we have some videos. Let's go ahead and see if we can share some of these videos so you guys can get kind of like a grip on what's happening. Let's go ahead and let's stop sharing this one. Let's share this one. And let's go to, and this is Nancy Schaefer again. Let's go to Nancy Schaefer again. And we brought her up earlier. You guys should be able to see this. We're going to go ahead and hit play. We're going to go ahead and play.
I have served in the Georgia State Senate for 4 years. One of my greatest pleasures, other than my sonogram bill, was getting the resolution passed to stop the North American Union. However, for 4 years, I have been confronted with families struggling to remove their children from the clutches of Child Protective Services. I wrote a scathing report last year on the corruption in Child Protective Services, and an update and copies are out on the table. During the last session of the Georgia General Assembly, I introduced Senate Bill 415 relating to juvenile proceedings, and copies of that bill are attached to the report on the tables. The bill 415 called for the time allotted for the Department of Human Resources to provide emergency care to a child without a court order to be reduced from 7 days to 72 hours. It required a court order to enter the residence of a parent or guardian to seize a child. It called for family court to be open to the public. Confidentiality and secrecy in family court protects the wrong people. It provided that immunity in the system shall not extend to the seizures of children that are found to be in violation, nor to the administration of medication to a child over the objection of the parent or custodian, and it provided the state from applying for obtaining, receiving, or accepting adoption incentive payments under the Federal Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire built on taking children and separating families. This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, my report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, And in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability in child protective services. I have come to several conclusions. 2 or 3 are, 1, that poor parents, not always, but oftentimes, are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney and fight the system. That caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the business grows because state and local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-growing budgets. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid. State employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security.
All right, we're gonna stop that right there. We're gonna stop that right there, and so that was very powerful words by Mrs. Nancy again. And we can see that, and this was in 1997 again. So now this has been happening for years. And what I want the people to do, and everybody on the sound of my voice, what I want you to do is I want you to put yourself in these kids' shoes. In this particular case, this young queen's shoes, right? And she has a family that's fighting for her, right? And on both sides, it's not just one side of the family, on both sides. She has a family that's fighting for her to be with her family and not be in the system. Now, can you imagine? Put yourself in this child's shoes for a second. Can you imagine what this child is feeling, being bounced around from foster home to now being adopted to some parents that don't belong to her? This is outrageous. It's more than outrageous. It's egregious, and that might be an understatement. And they're doing it all in the name of government and child protective services. At what point are they protecting the child? At what point is this about the child? This is not about the child. This is about the money. Did you just not hear Nancy Schaefer? She told you that look at who's getting paid behind this. It's the lawyers, it's the judges, it's the attorneys, it's the foster care workers and providers. These are the people that are incentivized to keep this going. It's our job as the people. This is why we didn't reach out to attorneys and all that stuff. It's our job as the people to come forward and say, no longer will we take this. No longer will it stand. Enough is enough. So but before I get enraged and outraged, where did you want to, where did we leave off at? I'm sorry, because we shared that video.
I don't remember.
Okay, so we left off at them being incentivized, and yes. You read the paragraph from Nancy Schaefer as yes. well, and she basically ended her excerpt with the incentivization, if that's really a word. I don't care. You know, I'll make up words, so y'all bear with me. But with being incentivized to take these children away, mm-hmm. they're doing more harm to the community yes. than they are doing good. And you wouldn't imagine CPS in such a manner, in such a light. And this is why we're bringing this to the forefront of the public eye. Miss Edith, you've been sitting there quiet for a while. What is your take on all this stuff, and what else would you have to add to the conversation as well?
What they're doing is heartbreaking. It's devastating. They asked me how much money I wanted when I started the adoption process. I told them, I don't want your money. I'm a licensed nurse. I make almost $100,000 a year. I can afford to take care of the child. I even had it set up for her to go to a private Christian school. And
you were also willing to move to
and I had an attorney who charged me $10,600 and did absolutely nothing.
And you already paid the attorney as well?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so the people can know, and I want both of y'all to answer. I'm gonna start with you as well, Miss Edith. What kind of challenges have your family been through for the past 3 years dealing with this? I know you just said the $10,000 charge, but if we can get just a little insight on to the pain and grief that it caused your family, tell us.
It's like another death. We lost her mother to a drug overdose. 3 months later, my mother passed away. We just lost my mom's only brother. It was like another death in our family. And the judge didn't care. You have to love her enough to let her go. No, I love her enough to fight for her because she belongs with her family, not with the ones that they gave her to.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And for your family, Mrs. Freeman, what kind of struggles have you guys dealt with over the past 3 tumultuous years?
It's hard. It's hard to try to understand a system that you just don't understand. You know, if they say that the child, you know, that they're doing it for the child, they're not. They're doing it for the money. And my concern, the child is on my heart and my mind constantly, you know, because I worry, what is she going to feel like? She's 7 years old now. How is she going to feel? She's going to feel abandoned. She saw her family. She loved her family. She know her family. We were able to see her, and then all of a sudden we can't see her anymore. And she's just gone. Does she feel like what happened to us? You know, the last time her father, my nephew, saw her, he explained to her, he said, I'm not going to be able to see you anymore. And he said the names, you know, the adoptive parents, because they won't let me. And she gave him a really weird look. And he asked her, are you going to be upset with me? She said, no, I'm going to miss you.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
And you know, just worrying about how is she being taken care of? Is it just for the money, or are they really taking care of her?
We have a comment as well, and they're asking, and I believe we already said that, but they said, can I ask why was the child removed from the home in the I guess in the first place?
Yeah, well, we said that in the beginning. She was with the maternal grandmother, and it was drug related. The police was called out to the motel where the grandparents were living because they were hallucinating. And they ended up going to the hospital with the child and her and her husband. And so, rightfully so, CPS should have been called because of what happened. So it was because of drugs in the custody of her maternal grandmother while her mother was at work is why the child was taken. And like I said, at the time her father was incarcerated in a county holding facility, so he wasn't in a position. The paternal family didn't find out about her being in foster care for about a month and a half because of him being incarcerated. Yes.
Okay, and he was a next of kin to contact.
Right.
Okay.
So getting stuff to him from the agency to him, I guess it was backlogged or it just took a while. But when I got a phone call from him one night and he's crying on the phone saying that the child was taken and she's in foster care and I don't know what I'm going to do, I was like, don't worry, we'll figure it out. And at the time, we had no clue that we were actually able to go to Pennsylvania to go to court. You know, and that's why
So they wouldn't tell y'all that y'all could show up to court in Pennsylvania?
They didn't tell us anything.
I wonder why.
They didn't tell us anything. The maternal family was there, of course, because they knew from the child's mother. And we didn't know each other at first. And the agency lies about the littlest things because I called the counselor one day and I said, hey, can you give my information to the maternal family?
Right.
And she said, yes, I will do that. About a month and a half went by. No one from the maternal family called me. So I texted her one day and I said, hey, did you remember to give my information to the family? She said, yes, I gave it to them. I know they had a family emergency. I'm sure somebody will contact you. Again, about a month went by. It was just so happened that we overlapped on a visit one day is how we actually met.
Right.
I got to the visit early and they were visiting with the child the same day. And when I saw them there, I got out of the car because I saw the child running around. And I got and I introduced myself to Edith and Miss Pinky. And they were more than welcoming in meeting me. And so I said to her in front of the caseworker, I said, I said to Edith, I said, I told her to give you my information so you could contact me. And Edith said, oh, sure, you can have my contact information. And when I looked over at the social worker, she had turned 12 shades of red because she told me she had did that. She never did it.
So that just lying about the smallest particular thing, just about
things.
giving her the number,
Yeah.
and you found out. See, this is a severe issue. This is a severe issue, and this is a system failure. This is not a person failure in particular. This is a system that was built, and if I could just add and expound, we went from the 1997 bill, Child Protective Bill from the Clinton administration, and what kicked off this whole process of the states being incentivized to keep children away from the family. Now, I know a lot of people would think, CPS took your child, oh, they probably deserved it. No, that is not the case. You got loving, caring family members, upstanding citizens. Miss Edith is a longtime nurse. Mrs. Cynthia, she's a retired police officer, and she served more than 30 years in the force. So you're talking about excuses. There is no excuse why this young woman should not be home. This young child, man, she's 7 years old and she spent 3 years in the system. This is why we need the people. We're beyond and we're past attorneys. I know we got a comment too by Uncle Wayne in the chat. Shout out Uncle Wayne, by the way. Shout out Uncle Wayne. But he said, did they hire their own attorneys? Yes, there were some attorneys hired. If I'm not mistaken, Miss Edith, you say you spent over $10,000 on an attorney for the situation?
Yes, I did. And my attorney was never allowed to speak in court.
And was never allowed to speak in court at all?
No.
Okay, so yeah, that's a serious issue. This is one of the most egregious crimes that you can commit against humanity. And we're talking about the United States government. This is why we need the people, because the people run the government. We don't understand why there are people inside of the government who, I guess, this is protocol for them, but for us, this is devastating. It's protocol for them, but for us, it's devastating. For the child, it's devastating. So, and they call this protocol. They do this all in the name of protocol. Now it's time to change protocol, and it starts with us as the people, for sure.
And I want to answer him as well. There were 3 attorneys were hired for our family.
3 attorneys. So you hired one as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And the paternal grandfather hired an attorney. So it didn't do us any good at all. We had 3 attorneys.
3 attorneys. Were any of them able to speak in court?
No.
No.
Not my attorney, not the attorney of representing our side, not Edith. And from what I understand, when the paternal grandfather attorney wanted to speak, the judge didn't want to hear what she had to say.
So this is what we urge from the people. We urge the people to, first of all, share this stream. Even if you don't like it, that's not even really important right now. We want you guys to share this stream. It is ultra important that we get the word out. There's no telling how many families, how many children are suffering from the same situation. Trust and believe, Mrs. Freeman and Mrs. Edith, their situation is not unordinary. It's not. It's not unordinary. It's not out of the blue or anything like that. There are many families impacted by this. And what I want to do as well, what we're going to do is we're going to show you better than we could tell you. So there are other videos, thankfully, that you have brought to our attention. So let's go here and let's share this other video so you guys can see for yourself.
I can't remember when you weren't there, when I didn't care for anyone but you. I swear we've been through everything there is. Can't imagine anything we've missed. Can't imagine anything the 2 of us can't do. Through the years, you've never let me down. You've turned my life around. The sweetest days I found with you. Through the years, I've never been afraid. I've loved the life we've made, and I'm so glad I stayed right here with you through the years. I can't remember what I used to do, who I trusted, who I listened to before. I swear you've taught me everything I know. Can't imagine needing someone so. But through the years it seems to me I need you more and more. Through the years, through all the good and bad, I know how much we had. I've always been so glad to be with you. Through the years, it's better every day. You've kissed my tears away. As long as it's okay, I'll stay with you through the years.
Hi guys, I'm Billy Blanks Jr. and this is a breaking news special edition of the Talent Recap Show. American Idol favorite and season 8 runner-up Saisha Mercado says her 2 children were legally kidnapped. If you don't remember Saisha, take a quick look at this. Recently, her 10-day-old baby was taken from her on the side of a road as she was surrounded by CPS in Florida.
How could
You don't
guys
feel
do
nothing?
this? Do you not feel anything?
Let's put the baby in the
You guys,
chair.
I'm human. This is
I
my baby.
understand
My
that.
baby is days old. And you're taking my baby away from me. You're taking my baby away from me. You have no heart. This is so wrong.
Just give us a second. Now let's rewind because there's a lot to unpack here. The couple's first child, Amin Ra, was taken from them after Saisha went to the hospital for aid while she was pregnant with her second child. She did this because he wasn't drinking her breast milk and was having a difficult time transitioning to formula. She says that instead of educating her, she was met with judgment, and they stated the baby was malnourished, and then accusations continued to spin out of control. It is alleged that she denied to give her child a B12 shot, and then she was met with investigators, law enforcement, and the child was taken from her and to be put to medical foster care. That did not happen. The child was placed in regular foster care. Meanwhile, her and her partner have been fighting to get their son back. Unable to afford the lawyer fees of an ongoing battle, the heartbroken mother turned to social media for support in June. They started a GoFundMe, which has now raised over $400,000. After their daughter's recent birth, the pair were driving in Sarasota, Florida, and their outing was infiltrated by the police, where they took her 10-day-old baby from her. Mercado feels that this was racially motivated. She says that CPS and police have repeatedly lied to her about the situation, leaving her clueless. Their son was placed in a white foster family without even interviewing qualified relatives or family friends for placement while they investigate. She was given only limited information, and she said that when her son was taken, the police officer dismissively said, "It's just one night," which turned into 54 nights and counting. I don't know what I would do. The hospital released this statement. Our first priority at Johns Hopkins All Children's Hospital is always the safety and privacy of our patients and their families. Therefore, we strictly follow privacy laws that limit the amount of information we can release regarding this particular case. However, we can say that our first responsibility is always to the child brought to us for care, and we are legally obligated to notify DCFF when we detect signs of possible abuse or neglect. It is DCFF that investigates the situation and makes the ultimate decision about what course of action is in the best interest of the child. Wow. Just wow. That kind of sounds like a pass the buck, but we'll see. Here are some of the facts to start with. Documentation must be provided before taking a child. There is no documentation or charges to show her as an unfit mother or a hazard to her children. The original nurse that reported them as unfit criminals is being sued and investigated by the hospital. Saisha herself brought her baby to the hospital for care, and it was told to her that the baby was going into medical foster care, and that never happened. The baby was put in regular foster care with a family. CPS is always supposed to first try to start placing children with fit family members or friends of the family. Why was that not done? And by law, they cannot take the second child just because one child was removed. Each baby is its own case, and proof or charges are needed. I think one of the worst parts about this is you see in the video she's begging them to at least let her ride with the baby, and they would not allow that, even though she's not been deemed a hazard to her children.
Can I sit with my baby and go with you? No, ma'am. I'm not a danger. I'm not a danger to my baby.
Guys, there are a lot of unanswered questions, but there are definite signs pointing to negligence on the part of the CPS. What do you guys feel about this? Should they have let her ride with her daughter? What do you feel about this in general? We send our support to Saisha and her family and pray that this can be resolved as soon as possible so that your family can be reunited. Guys, in the comments below, feel free to send your messages to Saisha and tell us how you feel about this situation. This has been a special breaking news edition of the Talent Recap Show. I'm Billy Blanks Jr. Thanks for watching.
You don't bite me. I can't hear you. Hi, how are you? I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear us now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so what I want people to do is I want the people to place themselves in the child's shoes and think about the pain that the child is going through. You're around a bunch of strangers. God knows what they're doing and what they're capable of, what their backgrounds are as individuals. How well do you know the individuals that she's adopted to?
I don't know them at all. They're strangers.
You don't know them at all? And
Don't know him.
okay, you don't know. None of the family knows them at all. We also have a comment that came up just a while ago before we started the video. It said, "Can you speak to a local politician representing the district to investigate this matter?" And I think you're the perfect person to speak about this.
I did. I wrote, because this impacted 3 different states, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, I wrote each governor. I wrote each governor explaining what was going on and asking for help. I wrote every senator in those states. From the state of Maryland, I received a phone call back from one of the senators telling me that there was nothing that they could do because it was at the state level.
Okay.
And for us to hire an attorney. I heard back from the governor office of Delaware, a representative, who said that it was nothing they could do and that he would reach out to their colleagues. That was it. All those letters that went out to all the senators of the state, I wrote every senator in each state and all 3 governors, and nothing.
And when you say each state, I guess this is like a tri-state thing. This is a Pennsylvania, Maryland, Delaware type of situation.
Yes.
So you wrote the senators in the whole tri-state area.
Yes.
And to no avail?
To no avail.
Okay. What other measures have you taken, Miss Edith? Have you spoken with the politicians or several people in your state and senators and stuff like that as well?
No, I haven't. I was told, you were given the approval, and it's up to the state of Pennsylvania. They don't have to give her to you if they don't want to. It's their choice.
It's the state of Pennsylvania's choice whether or not they want to give the child up. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And the attorney I tried to file what's called a petition to intervene, which means even though they're going to adopt her, that would allow us to stay in her life, to be able to see her. And then my attorney told me, well, we can file the petition to intervene, but if if the adoptive parents say no, you can't see her, then you can't see her. So what was the point of me filing? Because they said no. And I was told by my attorney that I was paying, that the child made the statement that she didn't want to see her real family anymore. This child's 6 years old.
So that's another key element. How much of that situation do you think that they are coaching her through that and kind of making her? Because I remember you mentioned a statement earlier that when she seen the family, when she saw the family again, she seemed like she was uncomfortable. So, and now you're saying that she's saying something completely different than what she would normally say. Like, in instance, she doesn't want to be around her real family. She'd rather be around her adoptive family. So do you think that she's being coached by these adoptive parents or the system or somebody outside the family?
Absolutely.
And what about you?
Absolutely.
So
She's
she is
six.
being
A six-year-old don't know to say that.
Right. Absolutely. And that's very depressing to me. Like it's very sad. And you're talking about a young child that has a family, a loving family on both sides that want to love on her and support her. And so this is why it's imperative for our community. We want the BMore4Real community to come out in full force on this one. We need you guys to share this on your pages. There will be videos and clips that will be re-uploaded to the internet. So we want our people to do our job and make sure that this reaches as many people as possible. Because right now, the senators, you said you reached out to the senators. And every senator in the tri-state area, by the tri-state we mean the Delaware, Pennsylvania, and Maryland area. So we've reached out to them to no avail. Sometimes the people got to put the pressure on them. They got to put the pressure on their neck. And that's what we're going to do with this platform. So I want everybody to take a second out. And I know y'all couldn't hear us a little bit after the stream, but I want everybody to take a second out to share this stream. Share it to your social medias and let people know that this family is not the only family that's impacted. Okay, we're doing stuff to help this family, but there's no telling how many other families will be helped. There's no telling how many other children will be impacted. It's such a sad situation when the government is behind the dismantling of the family. Like how egregious could that be? But with that being said, we want everybody to do their due diligence. And before we get out of here, are there anything else that you would like the people to know as well, Mr. Cynthia?
Sure. I wanted to read one other thing that's from their insert from Pennsylvania, the benchmark book.
Okay.
It talks about the core family finding beliefs.
Okay.
It said the core family finding beliefs are: every child has a family. They can be found if we try. Loneliness can be devastating, even dangerous, and experienced by most children in out-of-state care. A meaningful connection to family helps a child develop a sense of belonging, and the single factor most closely associated with positive outcomes for children is meaningful, lifelong connections to family and kin. They ignored everything in their own benchmark.
So that sounds like a whole bunch of, what do you call it, political talk. They just being politically correct.
Yes.
With no actual action behind those words.
No meaningful
action behind those words. And that's awful. That's awful. Shame on you. Shame on you. And we're going to play the sad sound too. Shame on you. Shame on you, U.S. government system. And this is why we need to hire the proper politicians and put our proper people in place. We don't know how important it is for the proper people to be in place, because now people are being displaced. Now families are being displaced, and they've been doing this for decades. As you can see, this is not the only family that's been impacted. Ever since the 1997 bill by the Clinton administration was passed, and they've been incentivized to do this stuff. They've been breaking up families ever since, willfully, and willfully ignorant about anything else that goes on. They just freely oblige to all the circumstances, even written in their own dialogues about their whole mission statement. So that is totally corrupt to the core. I'm not saying CPS as a whole is a corrupt organization, but this is straight up corruption. This is straight up mutiny, whatever you want to call it. This is treason, whatever you want to label it as. That's what this is. So we want the streets to do their justice today. Get the street justice today. Make sure y'all go ahead and share. Also, Miss Edith, is there any words that you would want to say to the people as well before we get out of here?
I mean, if there's anything they could do to help us, we'd greatly appreciate it. And I just want the child to know I love you. I think about you every day. You're always in my heart and in my thoughts. And I'm not going to stop trying I won't stop fighting to get you home.
Yes, ma'am. And we appreciate that. And this is why we need the people to share it too, because you never know if the child will run across this video and they'll see their family reaching out and say, you know, my family does love me. Who knows what they telling that child now? If y'all think that they coached them back then, who knows what's been implanted in her mind now? And so I wish the best for you guys' situation. We're not only going to pray about it, we're going to be proactive about it. You know, faith without works is dead. We want to put in the groundwork to actually help bring this child home and not only this child, but all the childs across America alike. We want to, first of all, go after the crime bill. Remember, I said earlier in this stream, and I garden. I used to garden. I don't garden no more. But you know, when you want to pull weeds up, you pull them up by the roots. You don't just cut them, because they'll grow back and they'll continue on choking out the life of the other plants. So in order to get the weeds up, you have to get it by the root. Now, the root of this is the 1997 crime bill. Yes. So we have to fight the incentivization. And like I said, I don't know if that's really a word. Don't quote me on that. But we have to stop them being incentivized to do what they're doing, because they're doing this for money. They're not doing this for the children. And on top of that, I'm pretty sure that the state receives a reimbursement for even paying these families for adoption and having them in the system in the first place. I'm pretty sure the state is getting a kickback from that. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely.
That is fair to say?
That is fair to say.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not too far off my rocker when I say what I'm saying. And so this is why we need the people, because the people make the government. Don't get it twisted. The government don't make the people. The people make the government. So we need our people, everybody understand my voice, share this stream. Share the stream. Share it to your loved ones. Make sure it gets shared out there as many times as possible. Put it on multiple platforms. We want to make sure that if the child is ever on YouTube, that she will run across this video and she will fight herself to be back with our family as well. But other than that, are there any last words you want to tell people how they can contact you in case it's a senator or somebody that can really help your situation? You want to give out that information? You as well, Ms. Edith? I will start with you, Ms. Cynthia.
Well, sure. They can have my email address. It is Cynthia L. Freeman 123@gmail.com.
Say it slow for those people who listen slow.
Cynthia, I'm sorry, it's Cynthia L. Howard, my maiden name. Cynthia L. Howard.
Okay.
123@gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that. And what about you, Miss Edith? How can they contact you if need be?
If they could find anything that could help us, they could send it to my email. It's Edith, EDITH, .Robinette, ROBINETTE, @gmail.com.
Yes, ma'am. So we appreciate y'all. And I know this is a touching time. This is a troubled time. But us here at BMore4Real, we would encourage you guys to keep your faith. Don't stop fighting, because the moment you stop fighting, the moment you give up is the moment you give in to the enemy. And we don't want that for you guys. And I know it must take an emotional toll, a financial toll on the whole entire family. But I would say that this child is worth the fight. She's worth every penny. She's worth every second spent thinking and fighting for her. And I don't want you guys to ever lose faith. It is possible. All things are possible with the Most High, for sure, with Yahweh. And I want you guys to keep the faith here. And we encourage you guys to keep pushing. Anything that you guys need from us, we will go out our way to support you guys because this is what we're about. We're not just about talking. We're about boots on the ground and putting in that action and putting in that work. So we appreciate you guys so much. With that being said, this is BMore4Real, the realest conversation on the net. Something different to bring to you guys, but yet and still, it's the realest conversation on the internet. It's rated R for reality. What more can I say? Brought to you by way of Real Explosion. Y'all know what time it is. BMore4Real. We'll see you next Wednesday. Thank you, Miss Edith.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Cynthia.
Thank you.
Till next time, let's go.
Want my baby home.
We planting seeds in the streets where the hearts is cold, where the young ones bleed, where the truth ain't told, where the pain run deep and the dreams get stole. We bring light to the block, the righteous seed will grow. From boys to kings, from girls to queens. No more suffering in our sleep, it's just a righteous dream. We speak light in the mist where the darkness unfold, healing our youth, hoping y'all could save their soul. The YNs, they walking around with a pole in their book bag. Heart so cold they end up with a toe tag. No pops, just a Glock and the pain in their jeans. Mama be working double, missing all of their dreams. So the block, they raise them up in a predator way, where the love is getting taxed and the trust don't pay. The OGs, they put some trauma like it's part of the code. Now they sleep with a pole, feeling safe on the road. I walk around with the word, expose the thief in the night. Speaking life to the broken, trying to bring them to light. Told the shorties on the block, don't let the trauma define you. Yahweh see your scars through the fire, refine you. We planting seeds in the streets where the hearts is cold, where the young ones bleed, where the truth ain't told, where the pain run deep and the dreams get stole. We bring light to the block, the righteous seed will grow. From boys to kings, from girls to queens. No more suffering in our sleep, it's just a righteous dream. We speak light in the mist where the darkness unfold, healing our youth, hoping y'all